Afternoon, everybody. Happy Sunday. This is take two. I just recorded my video and I went to dump it into Final Cut to do my post, and no audio. Yay! So let's do this again. So, good afternoon, everyone. It's Sunday. This is the pup, Danny Naz. Just a little bit about myself. I'm a swing trader. I'm a chartist. Been trading for a couple of years, been investing for many more. And I mainly trade highly liquid momentum stocks. Watch like 10 to 15 stocks in a given time. Whatever's popping up on the radar. And I am a certified TrendSpider partner as of a couple of weeks ago. Very happy and very proud of that. Use Thinkorswim to do my executions of trades, and I would say definitely more of a swing trader, but trade support and resistance levels using TTM squeeze and EMA crossovers. But in this environment, I've become a bit of a day trader and scalper as well. So it's my story. I'm sticking to it. Let's try and power through this again. So I guess now doesn't want to change. Having a lot of technical difficulties today. The Bulls versus the Bears. This is where we're at, right? Market has been on a tear for the last 2 months since we had our COVID drop. It's been a Fed-fueled rally. The Fed has really come out with every single tool in the tool bag, that you could think of, and probably some that we haven't even thought about yet. So, I'm anticipating there's going to be some kind of news next week that will continue this rally to the upside, because it does look like we're topping out a bit, but you can't have bias in this market. It's just there's no rationale to this irrational market. So, we had our stress test on Friday. There were, for the most part, I think everything went pretty well. I think there was some concerns about Wells Fargo, but, it's Wells Fargo. I mean, they're just... I don't have anything nice to say about them. So moving on. Market watch, the 7 reasons the stock market may face a severe bout of turbulence next week and beyond. Only 1 rising coronavirus cases. So what does that mean? It means we've got some things in store besides corona next week. We have the rising infections of hospitals like we just talked about. We have economic surprises from the U.S. Labor Department's monthly jobs report potentially on Thursday. We're coming to the end of the month, the end of the quarter rebalancing of portfolios by pensions and mutual funds. Stalled plans for a further economic stimulus from Congress. Joe Biden's lead in presidential polls, which, we know all about how those polls are so accurate, right? Market technicals used by some investors as indecision-making tools. And lastly, low stock market volumes in a holiday-shortened week ahead of the 4th of July weekend coming up for those of you in the United States, which will be observed on Friday. So we do have coronavirus cases worldwide topping 10 million, with nearly 500,000 deaths, 25% of which are in the U.S. The U.S. is winning again. We love to win. And you can see this guy's getting squeezed by the coronavirus. It's been interesting times, to say the least. I saw this posted on Twitter earlier, and I wanted to include it. Trying to blow the candle out. That's the big bad bear trying to blow out the candle. Very satisfied that we're winning. It's turning red, and here comes the Fed, and now here comes the next pump. Right. Let's see what the next week holds. So let's jump into the charts. We got the daily raindrop chart for SPY. Really exciting news from TrendSpider this week, or I should say this morning. I saw the release live of their new tool, the AlphaTrends Automated Anchored VWAP. I was actually charting this morning, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, doing my chart requests from Friday. And I went to switch to a new chart, and I saw this thing pop up. Your software has been updated. Please refresh your screen. And I knew something was coming, and I knew what was coming. but I wasn't sure. And then, of course, I refreshed and I'm looking around and I'm like, I don't see anything different. And then all of a sudden, I went to drop an anchored VWAP and I'm like, this is different. Something's different here. And yeah, so basically what we got today was the Alpha Trends anchored VWAP, which allows you to automatically anchor to year to date, month to date, week to date, higher high, highest low, blue doji raindrop, you know, just to name a few. So you are not going to see any moving averages in this entire review. I generally don't use moving averages that much. I use them in a sense where I do peek in to see where we are in terms of the 200 and the 50 on the daily, and then I have my EMA stack that I use for my lower time frames. But I'm really becoming attracted more and more to this anchored VWAP. So having said that, we do have a little bit of a inverted balloon ray drop on the SPY here. I'm just going to watch this 296.62 level. We do have a volume shelf below, but if we do dip below 300 and 296, just watch out and be careful. Just zoomed in a little further here, you can see we had this uptrend line that we lost. We tried to retake, and now we're rejecting. So just keep an eye on this. I know we're right around that 200 simple moving average. Next up is the Qs, the QQQ. We do have a little bit of support here that looks to have lost a little bit. This is the, bear with me, the month to date anchored VWAP. I may stumble a little on this. This did just come out this morning, so I am still learning about what these new tools are and how they work and what they do. So, but what I would say for the Qs, just watch below 237.57, this trend line right here, this horizontal yellow line. If we lose that, we potentially could hit this volume pillow down here. So just something to keep an eye on. Next up is IWM, our small caps, Russell 2000. Again, showing a little bit more weakness. On the Qs, we had strength. Here we have weakness. We have a little bit of an island reversal, right? Gap down, island reversal. And we're coming down to our new fancy tool, which is our year-to-date anchored VWAP in blue, but with bands, with Fibonacci bands. And again, I might be talking out my butt right here, right? This is new to me, so I read a little bit about this before I did the video, so I think I have an understanding of what is going on here, but I may have to correct myself at a later time. But in any event, what these bands represent, our solid line is our anchored VWAP from the year to date, and the bands represent the Fibonacci. So 0.618, 1.236, 2.618, and the negative 0.618. So here we have our 618 retracement to this, or maybe it's an extension to this anchored VWAP. And you could see these last 3-day candles have touched that, and it bounced on board. So just something to keep an eye on. If we do lose this volume pillow down here, we have a bit of a gap and another volume pillow down here. So just keep an eye on that for IWM. They tend to get the party started when we're going to the downside, and it looks like they're getting that party started. So just gotta be cautious here, okay? Next up is XBI. I saw a little bit of a rotation graph this morning, and it looks like XBI and the biotech industry is definitely in the trending sector right now. So something to keep an eye on. What I like to do when I see strong sectors, I like to see what's made up of those sectors and pick the top 2 or 3 stocks in those sectors and see how they're performing and potentially look to see if there are plays there. Next up, we have the VIX, the VXX. So we had a breakout of our downtrend line last week, and we've been bouncing around this top of the trend line for this past week. We are sitting below or sitting right above the higher high anchored VWAP in purple. That is a good sign, so something to keep an eye on. We are anticipating some volatility this week, so no surprise here. Just watch 38.36 above and 40.17 as our next 2 levels. Next up is TLT, our 10-year Treasury bonds. We did have this massive symmetrical triangle, and Yeah, I mean, we broke out on Wednesday. We had a continuation on Thursday, a continuation on Friday, and now we're sitting right here at this breakout level of 165.49. So using my TrendSpider system, I've set an alert, I set it, I forget it, and we move on. And now let's dive into some stocks. Okay, first up, we have Tandem Diabetes. Tandem Diabetes, I was trading last year. It was a patience stock, something that you kept on hitting that $72 to $75 level for a long time. And you just had to be patient. You finally were rewarded. We did break out, and we came up to this 90.62 level, sold off, down back to this $45 to $50 level, came back up, paused, as you can see, right at that $73, $74 level I was just talking about, came back up, retested this previous high, 52-week high of 91.62, sold off, but didn't sell off as much as down here. And now we're seeing this formation of a ascending triangle. And so we did test it again, 91.62 last week and earlier this week. So we sold off again, and now we're testing a higher low here. So I'm watching the break of $92 for a potential target of 120. Of course, we're going to have levels in between, 96.25, 100, 102.65, I'm sorry, 102.62, and 112.90. Ultimate target 120. I do like the risk reward on this trade. So just keep your eye on TNDM, Tandem Diabetes. Next up is Match.com. For those of you who follow me on Twitter, you've seen my jokes. We have a date with 100. Well, guess what? First couple of dates were rejections, and we finally are on our second date. Yay! So second date is going to be at 103.72. If we can close the deal after our second date, go for the win and break out, we can be on our way to 122 and 151. There is a high short interest on this stock, so we could see a bit of a short squeeze. So Match.com, set your alerts and forget it. Next up, APT. APT is a COVID play. I believe they are a PPE manufacturer. I did take a trade here. Took quick profit because of what was happening late in the week. And I'm just looking to get back in here. So 1881 is my breakout level, my entry level. We will see resistance at $20, then at 21.55, and then 25.43, and then hopefully head back up to this 37.25 level. So that's the play. I have some short calls and long calls laid out for us on our monthlies. And just set your alerts and forget it. But watch, we do have this confluence of anchored VWAPs down here, so this could provide good support if we do come down. And we also have our volume pillow down here as well, so something to keep in mind. Next up is CRISPR. CRISPR, again, we're looking for a potential retest. I had set out an alert last week for, I think it was right around Wednesday, or this week I should say. Watch the $71 retest, and we didn't quite get there. We got to like 72 and change. I didn't pull the trigger, and we did continue back up, and now we seem to be holding the $74 level. So, we could take an entry here. It doesn't provide as good a risk reward as we do at 71. I feel more comfortable at 71. I'm gonna have to play this one by ear with the shortened week next week. I don't want to force this trade, nor should you. So just keep your eye on CRISPR. Set your alerts and forget it. If we hit it, we hit it. If we don't, we don't. Remember, there's always another trade. Next up is FSLY. I don't see a trade here, but I wanted to put this in just to show you what can happen potentially if you catch a stock that runs. Just look at FSLY. When we had this consolidation zone down here between $10 and $25, and once we broke out right at this $30 level in early May, I mean, from 30 to 80 in basically less than 2 months. I mean, monster run. So, these are things you just have to keep your eye on. You have to understand, what's going on in the market. How are these stocks reacting to news? and to what's going on, in terms of their sector. But FSLY, man, if you caught that, wow, fantastic, good job, but don't chase it up here, please. It can continue to run. It totally can. But the risk reward just is not here. Wait for the pullback. Just wait for the pullback. We like to buy pullbacks to the 20 SMA on the larger time frames or the 21 EMA on the shorter time frames. So just, set your alerts. Next up is Overstock, OSTK. For me, this is a Bitcoin play. It seems like whatever Bitcoin's running, Overstock is running. But you see you have this flag breakout, another flag. So I would just wait for a breakout for an entry over this 28, 23 level. If we do break down, we can use these yellow horizontal lines as support. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. You don't have to do anything fancy here. Just watch your support and resistance levels. Watch for your breakouts and set and forget it. Next up is NVTA. Very, very big fan of this company. Came across this company last year. We traded it from $16.50 to $28. That $28, remember that number. It's a very key level, because when I saw this consolidation down here, I knew. Now, granted, we could have gotten it down in the $6 to $7 or $8 range when we dropped down from COVID, but I didn't. I just, I don't like to try and catch a falling knife. I like I like low risk, high reward setups. And so once NVTA got back into my anchored VWAP compression zone, that's when I started looking at it again. And that's where right here when we were consolidating. So last week, or I think it was maybe the week prior to that, I did start to build a position with July 17 calls. Now, I was a little hesitant, so I didn't really go too heavy into the trade, because even though I knew we were heading back to $28, it just wasn't sure what the time frame was going to be. Nevertheless, last week, Monday, kaboom. Where did we stop? 79.89. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Just look back on my Twitter feed, do a search for my profile name and NVTA. I've been posting about this. I've been talking about $28 for months, and just knew it was going to happen. Just didn't know when, like I said. So I exited my trade right around here. I could have squeezed a little bit more out of it, but I always aim for the meat. Sometimes some of the toppings, but never the buns. We're never going to catch the bottom. We're never going to catch the top. If we aim for the middle, we're good to go. So that's exactly what I did. But I did really well. I mean, I did over 100% on these calls. So no complaints. I happily took my profits, and now I'm looking to roll those profits. If we continue on and break out of this flag that's forming, I will roll some of those profits and look to take more profit in this $33 to $41 level. So NVTA, put it on your list, set your alerts, and forget about it. Next up is Peloton. This is a trade update. Peloton, wow. Monster moves here. I mean, we were at $40. Now we're at $58. Headed to $60. Probably heading to $68. If you're still in this trade, bravo, well done. I'm still in this trade, and I am looking to pay for my Peloton bike with my Peloton calls. That was the deal that I made. I used to play soccer as a kid, ran like no other, played center midfielder for those of you who know soccer, played for like 18 years. So my knees are shot, my legs are shot, can't run anymore. And so I want to exercise, and I like to cycle, and I want a Peloton, and that's that. So the deal I made with my fiance is, if I made enough to pay for the bike with my shares, or with my, well, actually I did have shares and calls, but mostly calls, then I could sell them and then buy my bike. So yay, let's go, $68. I want my bike. Moving on. CHGG, online education. The play here is COVID. It is possible that we don't go back to college in the fall. And if that's the case, classes are going to be held online, and Chegg is going to be a beneficiary of that. And so I'm looking at long calls into, let's say, November-ish for CHGG. So, I don't know if our entry is terribly important here. I would maybe build a position, next week going into the following week, but I definitely see some potential here. So just, set your alerts. I like this over this white anchored VWAP week to date. I also like it over 68.54 and over 70 for an all-time high. So just set your alerts and forget it, like I like to talk about. Next up is Square. This is my second arch nemesis next to AMD. In full disclosure, I am no longer going to talk about AMD. If you see me talking about AMD, please remind me that I've lost money on AMD twice in the last 2 months because I thought I knew better, Mr. Smarty Pants, Mr. Technical Trader, Chartist. I know that AMD is going to break out. Yeah, right. I don't know anything. Not when it comes to AMD, at least. I mean, I'm just not going to trade it anymore. And if I do, it's going to be to the downside. I'm going to short that stock. But in any event, Square is just one of those stocks. I haven't lost money on it, but man, I just haven't been able to make money on it. I am just so impatient. I hold it for weeks on end. It does nothing. It does like this. I do nothing. I do nothing. Okay, I sold right here. Boom, pops. That's exactly what happens to me with Square. So, maybe I'll still take another stab at it. I'll probably buy it, on another breakout here next week or 2 weeks from now. And then it'll probably dump and I'll lose money on it. But that's just my luck. Sometimes you just have to trade what works for you. And sometimes there are stocks that they just don't work for you. And, you just have to know when to hold them and know when to fold them, as that famous poker song from Kenny Rogers goes. Next up is NVDA. So we've talked about some stocks before that I'm liking to the upside. Now I'm going to talk about a few that I like potentially to the downside. Now, in full disclosure, I had a Twitter follower message me a couple of hours ago saying, hey, can you take a look at NVIDIA? I think I see a bit of divergence. And as soon as he said that, I'm like, you know what? I bet you there is, because I've been seeing and scanning a lot of the stocks this morning and yesterday. I've noticed a lot of divergence. And I didn't look at NVIDIA particularly because I had a trade plan already put together for NVIDIA. So it's just sitting on the table, just waiting to be alerted to enter. So in any event, I looked it up, and sure enough, we do have a higher high here and a lower high here on RSI. So we do have divergence. So I am putting my trade plan on hold, and I'm just going to make sure that, I want to see if this resolves. If it resolves, trade plan back on. If it doesn't, we're going to look to this to the short side. So I'm looking to short NVIDIA under 345, right under this volume shelf, potentially down to 300. That would be the play that I'm looking at. I would just advise you, do your own due diligence and see what you see. Don't follow me. I'm not a financial advisor. I am a glorified chartist. I don't really know what I'm doing, yada, 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 But, and seriously, yes, of course, I know how to trade stocks and I know how to chart. But, we all have to own our own trades. We can't follow anybody. Sure, I scan Twitter. I scan the market. I see what other fin Twitters are putting out there, and then I pop that chart open on my side, and I do my own due diligence, and I see what I see, and then I do my scans, and and of course I have my 15 to 20 or so stocks that I trade, usually. So, but yeah, I think NVIDIA, we're going to keep an eye on this. We're going to keep a close eye on this. Next up is Disney. In full disclosure, I did short the mouse. I feel really, really terrible about that. I'm very, very sorry, Mickey and Minnie. I have enjoyed your parks immensely. Every time I do go to Florida to visit my family, I usually stop at either Disney or Epcot, or sometimes Universal, which obviously isn't a Disney park. But in any event, I did call this out last week to short Disney under 111. That sure enough happened. We took that trade. I had said watch the anchored VWAPs for support. We did cover right over here. It was a good trade, very reasonable, like 25-30%. But I am looking to go short again if we get under these anchored VWAPs. I would short under 107.50 down to 100. Under 100, watch out. So just for those of you who don't know, this is an island reversal, a gap up island reversal. Just look up Bulkowski patterns. You'll see him talk about the island reversal. Next up is Facebook, our final stock of the day. You know, guys and gals, there's so much out there. I could be here for hours just talking about stocks, and I would be happy to do it, but we all have lives, and we can't look at stocks all day every day, right? So, but any event, a couple of things going on here. So Friday we had this wicked inverted raindrop balloonish deflated balloon. So party's over, deflated balloon raindrop. On top of that, news over the weekend, more and more companies are pulling advertising dollars from the Facebook platforms. That would include Facebook and Instagram and the such. So just be careful here. We have had a massive run up. I'm looking to short this under 216 and look to cover around 210. That would be our next level of support. So, do your own due diligence. I do like this to the short side, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So, funny story, my first go-round was 25 minutes. I'm at 15 minutes. Maybe I should do that more often. I'll do one run-through, and then I'll just tighten it up for that second run-through and save you guys some time. I don't mind to spend more time on my side, making sure the presentation is tight. But in any event, that's what I got for this weekend, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate your time. This has been an amazing journey for me, and I thank you very much for taking it with me, those of you who have stayed the 16 minutes into this video. I will say thank you very much. Have a good day right now. However, I am going to continue and talk about a couple of exciting things that are going on. If you want to stay with me, fantastic. You don't have to. This is the end of my technical analysis portion of this video. And so if you are leaving, thank you again so much for your support. If you follow me on Twitter or YouTube, thank you very much. If you don't, please do. I really, really do appreciate your support. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So have a great evening, great rest of your weekend, and we'll catch you tomorrow in the markets. But for those of you who are staying with me, let's talk about a couple of things that are going on. First and foremost, you all know I love this platform, TrendSpider. I've been using it since I think November, December of last year. I was introduced to it by another trader. His name is Art. Thank you so much, Art, if you are watching this video. This has been a game changer for me. I don't really say that lightly. You guys probably don't and won't hear me talk much about anything that I support. It's my personal preference. It's just what I do. I'm not here to impose my will on anybody or tell anybody, how to do what they do, when they do it, etc., etc. However, I would be remiss to not talk about TrendSpider and how invaluable they've been to me on my trading journey. Just to talk a little bit about myself, I do a little of this every video just to give you guys a peek behind the curtain of who I am and what I'm all about and what I do. I've been trading for full-time for about 2 years now. Really, really, really full-time for like the last year. I started using stock charts as my first charting platform. It was an excellent platform for what it was for me at that time during my beginning of my full-time trading journey. And then when I felt I outgrew that platform, I was looking at what the next step was, and I wasn't really too happy with Thinkorswim. It's a serviceable platform. I use it to execute my trades. I just don't really care for the technical analysis aspect to it. And when Art introduced me to TrendSpider, it was just like a whoa moment. I'm a designer. I own a design studio, a global design studio. I deal with high fashion houses. I deal with home interior, large home interior companies that look to my studio to help them in styling their patterns for their products. That's what I do for a living. And so I have an eye for design. I've always had an eye for design. I was a graphic designer earlier in my career, then a web developer after that, and now in textile design. So when I look at things, when I look at products, when I look at softwares, using the Photoshop and Illustrator, Adobe suites, I look at it from a designer standpoint. So when I was looking at other platforms, nothing really piqued my interest because their UIs, their user interfaces really did nothing for me. And if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to spend 20, 30 hours a week charting and doing technical analysis, I want to do it on a platform that I enjoy using. And I found that in TrendSpider. And I, not to sound, cliche, but I really fall in love with this platform every time I use it. It's so easy to use. It's a beautiful, beautiful platform. You guys see the charts that I put out. I mean, yeah, I do spend a little bit of time, I'm a little bit more of a minimalist, so I try not to clutter my charts, but, the platform is 75% of it. I like to think maybe I'm 25% of the charts, and it's an amazing. I thank everybody that messages me. I do get a lot of messages about, how much people like my charts, how they're very easy to to read and easy to understand, and I do put that effort in it. I want to make sure that I tell the story in a way that even the novice or the layman who's not a chartist, who is not a technician, can understand it. I mean, that has been my goal since day one. In December, when I reactivated my Twitter account that I've had for probably 15 years when I was first started in design and never used Twitter, I had 90 followers. I just passed 4,000 yesterday. I mean, it's like mind-blowing. I would have never guessed that this would be part of my journey. So what I want to talk about is, TrendSpider is having a 4th of July sale, 35% off. It's an amazing platform. For anybody starting out with technical analysis and don't know, their right hand from their left hand, they have some really smart automated tools. So auto Fibonacci, auto trend lines, and now automated anchored VWAP. Wow. Just released this morning. I may lose sleep. I may lose my fiance over this. I was messaging one of the owners this morning and I said, I'm not married yet, but I'm probably going to get divorced because I'm just going to be stuck learning this new anchored VWAP tool. It's really that cool. I've known about it for a little bit and I was excited, couldn't wait for it to come out, and so happy that it did. So, what I would say is if you are using a platform and your subscription has come up or it's coming up, give these guys a shot. Do a 7-day free trial, take it for a test drive, and see if you like it. If you don't, I mean, you don't lose anything. It's risk-free 7-day free trial. But if you do, it can make a difference. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So I'll stick a link down in the show notes below. If you have any questions, comments, concern about TrendSpider, I'm more than happy to answer them for you. I was honored by becoming a certified TrendSpider partner a couple of weeks ago. So what that means is they have faith in me to be able to teach this platform to new users. So if you are looking for some one-on-one tutoring or mentoring, I do offer that. You could reach out to me. I'll put a link to my my initial questionnaire down in the show notes. And yeah, enough about TrendSpider. Let's go on to topic number 2 that I want to talk about. This has been our baby. This has been my life for the last 2 months. If I could take a step back and tell you that in November, my business really struggled last year with the tariffs. The retail environment is really, really struggling in general. I'm at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to supply chain for Retail America and Retail Global. And so, our business got hurt really bad last year. And we had to scale back. We had to let, employees go. And just had to tighten the belts up a bit. And so in doing so, my business partner and I started thinking about how we can pivot our business, because we saw the writing on the wall. And to make a long story short, for those of you who follow me on Twitter, I love photography, I love food, And so I think you could see where I'm going with this. I was going to start a food photography studio. My angle was going to be food photography with marketing because my background is in business and marketing. And so I wanted to create something new and unique that I can, pitch to my local restaurants. I do live in Brooklyn, so I do have a lot of restaurants. I have access to a lot of restaurants. And I was well on my way to learning the trade of food photography. And it's still in the back of my head. It's something that I truly enjoy. And I think, in a future life, I probably will do. But COVID-19 hit, restaurants closed, business idea is gone. So as quickly as the idea came, and it was really exciting, and we did so much research for the equipment we were going to get and what our plan was going to be, and that quickly just got shot down. So in that time, I was still trading, and I decided, I'm like, I had started using Twitter again. I had started building up my followers, and I just was doing it for fun, not necessarily thinking I was going to make a career or a business out of it. And, long story short, I wound up meeting a trader who invited me into his Discord. And, the rest, as they say, is history. I brought in Nick C., who I've been trading with for about 2 years now, and I know very well. And I said, Nick, Printing Profits and I are this is what we got going on. I'd love to bring you in because you bring something else to the table than what he brings and than what I bring, and I think together we can make a really great team and do something really special in this market and something different. Because when I do something, I'm not a copier, I'm not an imitator. I try and be a leader and an innovator. That's just how I've always been in my life and in my career. I've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years. I've had multiple businesses. I've had multiple successful businesses. But I've always worked in a career and a business that I've been passionate about. Because for me, if I'm going to put the time in, I need to enjoy what I'm doing. And this is something I really enjoy. I really enjoy trading, and I really enjoy teaching. I've had amazing mentors all my entire life for my career. And, I've always looked to find ways to give back. So I've always done mentoring of young designers. I go to different colleges and do speaking engagements. I do speaking engagements in my industry at trade shows. So I've always been an educator at heart. And so that's not going to be anything different here. I have had some really great mentors along the way in my trading career, and I feel like now I'm at a level where I can give back, and I want to give back. So here is the birth of Our Trading Edge. We're in our soft launch right now. We've only been at this 2 months. We already have close to 200 members that are paid on our system. We have over 600 members that are in our free portion of our platform. We're currently building out our educational portion of our platform, but we teach it all, from support and resistance to Fibonacci, supply and demand zones. We do chart requests. We do real-time alerts for day trades, for scalps, for swing trades. We do post-market analysis where we do our trade talks, where we discuss the trades of the day, what went right, what went wrong. We do a pre-market watch list at 9:15 that tells you this is what we're looking at and these are the key levels. And so it's a full service platform, and it's only going to get better. We've been working really, really hard at this. We're really excited to launch this live next month as we work on our 3 Ps. I don't know if you know Marcus Lemonis from The Profit, but he's all about people, product, and process. And we've got the people. We've got myself, Nick C., Printing Profit as our top traders. We've got 3 other expert traders on our team. We've got 2 market analysis. We've got some really cool AI, futurish type stuff. Very interesting, highbrow, way above my head type stuff, which I love because you know what? I'm a sponge. I love to learn. Like Elliott Wave, know the principles, can't execute it, but it's something that I want to learn. I may not use it in my trading, but if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, right? So, yeah, I mean, it's just really exciting what's going on here. I don't know how many times I've gotten, I've been a member of other Discords, but this feels different. And I don't, I hate saying that because it sounds like cliche, right? But what I would say is ask anybody that follows me, ask our members that are out there. They're not hiding. I can only tell you what they tell me. But if you ask them, hopefully they give you an unbiased report on, what we're doing, which I think we're doing, as good a job as you possibly can. We're coming from this at this from the heart. We're coming from an educational standpoint. We're not telling you you're going to get rich quick. This is going to take time. This is going to take dedication. But if you stick with it and you do it, I like to tell our members, listen, a lot of you that are younger, that are either high school, college, post-college, a lot of people these days here, especially in the United States, they go to college, they spend $50, $80, $100,000, for an education. My fiance is a doctor. She's got $200,000 in student loans. She loves what she does, but it's a very difficult job, and she doesn't want to do it forever. It's very stressful, but she's got this $200,000 student loan over her head. And man, I hope she doesn't hear me saying this because she'll kill me. But, the reality is there are a lot of people like that in that situation where they get stuck. And sometimes people go to college and they'll spend, $80,000, $100,000 and they don't even work in their career. And, it's a shame. So, for $40 a month or for $80 a month or for whatever it is, if you stick with it for a year or 2 years, and let's say you're 20 or 25 years old, this might be the best education that you will ever get in your life. They don't teach financial literacy in high school. They should, but they don't. They should teach financial literacy in college. They should, but you actually have to take those courses if you want to learn it, right? But, if you have a corporate job, you got you have a 401k. Or you have a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA. And who's managing that? Edward Jones or, Fidelity or whoever else has these funds, right? But what if you can actually manage that yourself? I manage my own retirement accounts. I don't, the day that I started giving my broker advice on, hey, have you seen what Crone is doing? He's like, what's Crone? This was like 2 years ago when Crone was starting to explode, when, the pot stocks were really blowing up. And I'm like, did I just give my financial advisor advice on a stock to buy? And for me, that was just my aha moment. This is like, no. I'm taking my account over and I'm going to manage it myself. And that's what I've done, and I've done well. So if you think about it from that standpoint, you be the master of your own universe. You don't have to be a day trader. That's not what this is about. This is about financial literacy. This is about owning your own future. Learn this now, and you can use it for the rest of your life. Sure, you can make an extra couple of bucks on the side if you didn't want to do this for a living. I do it for a living now. I may not do this for a living forever, but that's what I'm doing now and for the foreseeable future. But you don't have to do that. I have a couple of friends that are teachers, and they're like, I want to learn how to trade. I want to learn how to make a couple of bucks. I have the summers off, so let's go. Let's do it. Some people they can jump on from 9:30 to 11 and make a few $100s and call it a day. That's fine too. The power of compound interest. If you make $200 to $300 a day in the market on average, because there's going to be days where you'll make money. There'll be days when you lose money. But if you make more money than you lose and you cut your losers short and you let your winners run, well, you can make a decent income doing this if you put the time in, put the effort in, be a student, learn, go from there. So, sorry to ramble, but, I think it's important that, young people these days, they need financial literacy. They need to know how to manage their money. They need to know risk management, account management. It's not all about trading. This is all about managing risk. Managing risk with money, managing risk with life. These are life lessons. And so it goes back to my point. If you're willing to spend $50,000 or $80,000 or $100,000 on college, then why don't you spend $50 or $80 or $100 a month on a financial literacy course or financial literacy program? It's really that simple. It's not for everybody. I will say that. It is not for everybody. It could definitely be stressful. But I've seen a lot of these young people these days, gamifying the market. And you could totally do it. You just have to learn risk management. And that's what we're here to teach you. So that's my story, folks. I'm sticking to it. And I do appreciate you sticking with me these extra 10 or 15 minutes, letting me tell my story, give you a peek behind the curtain to tell you what we're all about and what we're doing. Thank you so much to my friends and my family who have supported me through this journey. Thank you for everybody who's followed me on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube. I really, really do appreciate your support. I hope, my enthusiasm comes through my posts, and I appreciate you tolerating my photography and my food pictures. I don't want it to just be all about stocks, if that's okay with you. And if it's not, please let me know. This is my life. This is what I do full time, and I'm here to teach you. So if you're interested, we have a 7-day free trial. Right now, it's $40 a month. It's a couple of lattes at Starbucks. If you can give those up to potentially make some money and gain a lot of knowledge. I mean, for me, if I were 20, 25 years old, I'm on board. I'm all in, right? But that's just me. So enjoy the rest of your evening, folks. It's Sunday. We still have some of the weekend left. Tell your loved one that you love them. Give them a hug. Give them a kiss. Life is short. Enjoy it. And we'll catch you tomorrow in the markets. Have a great evening.